So it's been 53 hours, or a little over 2 days, since I first got my hands on the Samsung Galaxy A53 5G, one of Samsung's latest mid-range smartphones, which packs a lot of features for a more reasonable price. In this video, I want to talk to you about the new experiences I've had with the A53 after a couple days of personal use and share some insight on whether or not the A53 could be the next phone for you or a loved one. Let's get started. Starting with price. At the time of this video, the Galaxy A53, which packs 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, comes in at $450, which is a nice discount over last year's A52, priced at $500. In exchange for that lower price, you are getting a lot of the same great features found on that A52 5G, but with a few key changes, including a larger 5000 mAh battery and the loss of the beloved headphone jack. We are also getting the slim box treatment here now, which means all we are getting alongside the phone is a Type-C to Type-C charging cable, a SIM ejection tool, and some papers. For what it's worth though, Samsung is throwing in a free pair of Galaxy Buds Live at the time of this recording, so be sure to check out the first link in the description below for the latest pricing and deals. Upon immediate inspection out of the packaging, I could tell right away that this Galaxy A53 has a very nice looking design with a bit of a facelift from the A52, including a more evened out camera module with a more subdued look around the camera lenses, which I personally prefer. Aside from the headphone jack missing, we have all of the usual suspects here, such as mics and speakers on the top and bottom, a Type-C port capable of 25-watt charging, and a dual SIM slot, which doubles as a micro SD card slot for up to 1 terabyte of expandable storage. On the side, we have slightly lowered power and volume buttons, which will be a welcome change for smaller-handed folks. And if you haven't noticed already, this A53 has a plastic frame and backing alongside a supposedly durable Gorilla Glass 5 on the front. While some of these physical attributes leave much to be desired for me personally, it's nothing that a simple case and screen protector can't solve. But with arguably the biggest cost-saving measure addressed and out of the way, it is pretty easy to immediately see the value this A53 is providing with a quick glance at the 6.5-inch 1080p 120Hz AMOLED display, which is definitely the star of the show here. The vibrant colors and deep blacks are something you will notice and appreciate right out of the box. This flat-edged display is also complemented by some nicely rounded bezels in addition to the smallest hole punch cutout you will find on any Samsung phone at this point in time. But what has actual day-to-day usage been like on the A53? To put it simply, daily use of the A53 has been great so far. Nearly all of my personal use cases for a smartphone have been met by this phone, including enjoyably watching YouTube, browsing the web, shopping online, playing games, taking quick pictures and videos around the house and out and about, and all my general uses like emailing, texting, and phone calls have been enjoyable as well. All of this is being powered by a new processor, the Exynos 1280, which overall has been pretty good in my initial testing. I have found that there are tiny stutters here and there when scrolling through YouTube or the news, and sometimes transitions between apps isn't super buttery smooth, but these kinds of things might be more so apparent to me since I just came off using my flagship Galaxy S22 Ultra for the last month, which has yet to skip a beat. I found a couple of bottlenecks with this Exynos 1280 compared to the S22 Ultra when doing some of my gaming. For example, Super Mario Sunshine on Dolphin Emulator got around 5 to 8 less frames per second, making it pretty unplayable, and old school RuneScape had a few dropped frames when playing in a congested area. But a few general stutters and dropped frames in more intensive games is something I can put up with when the price is nearly a third of what I was previously using. Upon further usage, I found lighter gaming loads to be very manageable, as one of my favorite games, Super Mario Strikers, also on Dolphin Emulator, ran at a smooth 60 frames per second, and old school RuneScape, which is a game that runs at 120 Hz, is buttery smooth the majority of time you are playing. The dual speaker setup on this phone is really an underrated feature as well, making videos and movies more immersive, and phone calls on speaker are loud and clear. I'm honestly very impressed with the microphone and the camera quality. It is a little bit shaky just because I'm holding the phone with my hand and it's kind of breezy out right now. But honestly, very impressed with the front-facing camera here on the A53. General camera use has also been good on the A53, as I have gotten some really good photos out of the primary lens like this shot here, and there is a decent amount of versatility offered by the entire array, including the ultra-wide angle lens, which really opens up the range of what can be captured. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have a macro lens, which lets you get really close to subjects for more detailed shots. And there's also a depth sensor, which just helps make your photos better overall. Overall, while results are indeed more on the saturated end, I am happy with everything that is being offered here, and this camera will definitely meet the needs of the average camera user. And something that will absolutely meet the needs of any user out there is the battery life on this A53. In a single charge over a period more than 24 hours, I was able to get 8 hours and 44 minutes of screen on time, which is incredible. It's worth noting that half of this use was from watching YouTube, which is a lot less intensive than other apps and use cases, but at the same time, I was throwing everything I could at this phone for both my personal and work uses, including an hour of web browsing, hour of text messaging, half an hour of emails, like camera use, maxing out the screen brightness for outdoor use and while filming footage for this video, and some general battery trickle for things like the always-on display. There is easily a 2-day battery life potential for this phone if you use it responsibly. And if you're worried about battery drain overnight, I only saw about 3 to 4% of the battery drain overnight. So again, a 2-day battery life is something you can definitely expect out of this phone, and potentially even longer depending on who is going to be using this phone. The other impressive thing for me about the battery on this phone is that while it has a larger capacity than last year's Galaxy A52, the A53 manages to weigh the same, which surprised me, as a bigger battery usually means a heavier weight, but not here on the A53. It is nice to have a phone available from Samsung at the 5,000 milliamp hour capacity without having to opt for a larger, heavier, and of course more expensive option like the S22 Ultra. And in my initial day-to-day use, it is something I noticed, especially when gaming with my mobile controller, as it is a lot more enjoyable to hold and play for longer periods of time, while also getting excellent battery performance. But that pretty much wraps up my initial experience of the A53. As expected, we have an excellent user experience for both light and moderate use cases, but a subpar build quality overall in order to keep the costs down. The phone honestly has a pretty good feel in the hand, but there will always be some level of durability concerns for me personally when a phone has a plastic frame. But once you throw a case on this A53, it is safe to say you will have a very long-lasting phone. Between the IP67 water and dust resistance rating, which gives me great peace of mind on any device I use, and the new promise of 4 years of software upgrades and 5 years of security updates, means this phone is going to last you really as long as you need it to. If you absolutely need a phone right now at the time of this video, then this A53 is a safe recommendation for me. But I'm still curious to see how well this phone holds up over time in terms of durability, battery, software, and performance, so I will definitely be back in around 51 days with my 53 days later review. But for right now, all things considered, 53 hours later, I can highly recommend the Galaxy A53. But what are your thoughts on the A53? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to the Shane Simons YouTube channel today. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.